Sometimes we get so down that we think that we will never rise again. Sometimes we get shut down by the ones we love, and we lose all hope of ever being good enough for this life. Sometimes we drink our problems away, or at least we think we do. We wake up the next morning still broken, only this time it's worse because you have a headache, and the song that you were dancing to last night is still banging in your head, and all of a sudden it all makes sense. It feels like the lady on the song was talking to you when she said, don't give up. Sometimes we get into so much trouble that we end up losing ourselves. We try so hard to choose the righteous path, but some things are easier said than done. Sometimes we cry, sometimes we even give up. But sometimes we pray. Sometimes we pray. Sometimes we pray. Sometimes we get consumed and driven by the pleasures of the earth. We curse, we fight, we fornicate, we cheat, we steal. Sometimes we regret the choices that we made. Sometimes we succeed and we forget our humble beginnings. Sometimes we become famous and we disown our families, and we spend our time and money with the precious strangers that seem to know what's best for us. Sometimes we even try committing suicide because we simply can't deal with the consequences of our actions. Sometimes we have family fights over idle things like money and inheritance. We forget our values and promises that we made to each other. Sometimes we get consumed by greed and we get lost in the path of finding success. Sometimes we even lose faith. We lose our religion. We lose the true meaning of being human. Sometimes we go far, further than we really have to, and we find ourselves with no way of getting back, no plan of getting back to our true selves. But sometimes we pray. But sometimes we pray. Sometimes we get consumed by greed and we get lost in the path of finding success. Sometimes we even lose faith. We lose our religion. We lose the true meaning of being human. Sometimes we have family fights over idle things like money and inheritance. We forget our values and promises that we made to each other.